Things up yesterday, and I was there along with a lot of you. Welcome in. It is the Friday edition, and I think it's one of the few times on a Friday, and I don't know if that starts next week. I know that it starts officially the week after, but this will be one of the final Fridays in which we are in studio downtown on the Circle. And I was thinking about this, Nathaniel. It may be the last Friday that I'm in the studio because of, where we're embarking upon as far as new studios are concerned. So, hey, there you go. This could be a celebration of sorts. And with a celebration, you have to have substantial, incredible, friendly, high-quality guests. And we have that today. For one, we have a couple of triumphant returns. We are a week away. We got some scrimmages going on around the state in football later on tonight. But we have football, high school-wise, starting coming up next week. So we will welcome back at the bottom of the hour, friend of the show, and yet another year, another season. Nathaniel, do you know what year this is for Bob Lovell and Indiana Sports Talk?
I believe it is 31 or 32.
That is absolutely outstanding. That is an institution right there. Our friend Bob Lovell is back off of vacation hiatus. I don't think we've heard from Bob since right before the greatest spectacle in racing, that is normalcy. And Bob is back coming up later on today. We are going to talk about all the high school football coming up next week. I'm sure some of the scrimmages around the state of Indiana. College stuff about ready to get underway, whether you're talking about still living that dream of the euphoria of a year ago and hoping it transitions into year two with Kurt Signetti in Bloomington. Barry Odom, year number one in West Lafayette. And another playoff opportunity for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. Oh, yeah, Michigan getting in an ass load of trouble. There's a lot of giggling and a lot of snickering going on. I don't blame you. Giggle and snicker all you want. 2023 is a distant memory, if that, huh? From Michigan and Jim Harbaugh and those around him. Cheating will get you. Cheating got him. And we'll go over that, I'm sure, a little bit later on today. But the return of Bob Lovell, who joins us coming up at the bottom of the hour, much like the Fridays in studio, we're also counting down the days of hashtag Ask Pat and Pat Sullivan. And really, we've been sidetracked this year in a good way because of the Pacers and their deep playoff run. They go to the distance in 7 games of the NBA Finals, so not as much Pat Sullivan, hashtag Ask Pat, this summer, but we're going to have Pat in studio a little bit later on, and we'll see. Has he sent us exactly what we're giving away yet?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, send him a note and see what he's giving away, because normally people jump all over it. When it's free Yeti, it's me Yeti. That's kind of the slogan. You know the slogan, if it's free, it's me. If it's free Yeti, it's me Yeti. Just wondering if that's the direction in which Pat is going to go. Pat Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden, is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. I'm trying to track down. I'm not sure she's going to be able to come on, but I do know that the Brewers and the Reds play over in Cincinnati coming up later on tonight. The Red Hot Brewers. Can I say the Red Hot Reds? They won, 2 in a row? That's like red hot for me.
The way they played against the Phillies, I think you can.
Yeah, cool. By the way, these Cubs uniforms, I glanced out of the corner of my eye. They're playing the Pirates, and it looked like the Montreal Expos. I thought sure that was the Expos playing out there. I almost got a bit of a sports semi right there because I thought the Expos were out there. Anybody else love to see the Expos or the Expos uniforms resurface? Anything better than that? Cubs uniforms, and somebody said this the other day, if it's powder blue, it should be on you. I would agree. If you wear powder blue, you always wear it. If you've ever worn powder blue, see you, Jeff, you should wear it again. If it's powder blue, it's you. But, yeah, they look like the Montreal Expos. I thought that was Steve Rogers out there on the hill, but it's not. But Pirates and Cubs underway top of 4, no score, Wrigley Field in Chicago with the Northside Expos. I mentioned the Brewers and the Reds. Tricia Whitaker, a part of Apple TV and their broadcast I think she is over there. I'm going to see if she's got a couple of minutes to spare to come on. We're talking about the two hottest teams on the national, not really, but yeah, the Brewers certainly the hottest team in baseball. The Reds are playing better. Hopefully, this is not a mirage. Something I want to grasp, something that I want to be a part. I want to ride. I want to get excited about it. Hopefully, that's the case. Now, you know what happens. The Reds fans understand this. Really, fans of anything around here understand it. When I get this deeply involved and into it, the inevitable occurs. I screw up the run. I screw up the moment, and losing happens. It's just the way that it is. It's weird. Brewers and Reds coming up later on tonight at 6:40 from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. We'll see if Tricia can join us. Hopefully she can carve out a couple of minutes for us quickly from Cincinnati for Apple TV. And also a return for the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, who has been in Puerto Rico this past week, who has missed out on yet another opportunity of our table as he did last Friday. I don't know what the our table situation is. I don't know how long he's been home. I don't know if he's reacclimated to being here in Johnson County. But voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, will go over what a lot of you are interested in, just exactly how Darren DeVries and his Hoosier team looked, because you don't really know other than the updates and some of the video that got shot back. I know Jeff Rabjohns was down there. I know Jim Coyle was down there. There were a variety of people that were down there that do cover the Hoosiers. But we'll get the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, to talk that up coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. The Pirates go up a run with a run-scoring double in the top of the fourth inning. 1-0 Pirates over the Cubs again as they play, and they bat, the Pirates do, in the top of the fourth inning. But no, voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour per usual. Cannot wait for that. You got the Fever later on tonight. Eddie Garrison, 7:15 tip time with the Washington Mystics is at 7:30 tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So a great night, a little pregame at District Tap and a little postgame at District Tap. Let me tell you this. This is just my advice. Now, I'm taking my own advice here because I've got a lot to do coming up tomorrow, and I'm sure you guys aren't the same. But tomorrow, if you've noticed around this area, there are massive amounts of orange barrels, and especially in the vicinity of Lucas Oil Stadium. And those evidently are not going to disappear just because there's a preseason game 2 with the Packers and the Colts. I guess they're closing northbound 65. I'll have to ask Matt Bear a little bit later on, the traffic guru over on 93 WIBC, but I believe they're closing northbound 65 for the weekend, which seems like just a fantastic idea. So if you're going to the game tomorrow, and this is not going to be your average preseason game, and here's why. One, Colts fans, early on, you're going to go and watch something that everybody that covers this team seems to believe will have a profound impact on the quarterback. That starts in week number 1. So I'm just assuming by this quarterback competition that we're all going to go down there tomorrow and watch these two quarterbacks battle it out in the first half, and the best man wins the starting position for week number 1. Is that how this goes? Or do you think it's already been decided? Regardless, a lot of people are drawn to this game more than normal because of that. And then you have the Packers in town, and Packer fans, they not only just travel, but there are a lot of Packer fans around here that are going to head downtown and check it out. And my advice to you is to leave, and to leave early. I mean, hell, go to the District Tap, for example, or join us in Touchdown Town. Actually, you probably should leave even earlier than that. I start at 10 a.m. in Touchdown Town. Coming up tomorrow morning with Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, Joe Wrights, and Rick Venturi. I am going to leave incredibly early, and then I'm just going to stay downtown because I have the JMV takeover coming up at 6 o'clock. It does me absolutely no good to try to get back home and try to get back downtown. I just simply put, don't want to jack with it. I was talking to Jason Allen Hammer of Hammer and Nigel before the show in our normal meeting, and he said, man, that is a long day for you, but the day's even longer. Last thing I want to do is ruin my weekend by being pissed off and being caught in traffic, and believe me, tomorrow there's going to be no way around it. If you leave at your normal time or later than normal, you are going to get caught in heavy amounts of traffic, and I'm just trying to do you a solid right here. I don't want to see you pissed. I don't want to see you surly. I don't want to see you angry. I don't want to see any road raging, because it is going to be a pain in the butt to get around. So my advice to you is hang around downtown. I'm not trying to sell you anything on it. I just want you to stay chill. We don't have a lot of these weekends remaining. We're going to get into the thick of things, as I mentioned, coming up, whether it's on Friday night for football or Saturdays for college football or Sundays with the Colts. We are about ready to get into it. And these weekends that we have so celebrated in the past couple of months will disappear and will be a fleeting memory. So for you, get down early. If you want to hang with us in Touchdown Town, I think that is a tremendous idea. Hell, I'll drink some beers with you. You know that. No problem with it. If you want to hang out during the game, after the game, I'm going to be down here doing a little JMV takeover at 6 o'clock on B105.7 tomorrow night. So, again, if you want to hang, we can all hang. But I'm just trying to provide a service for you, because this is going to be a massive pain. And there's just no way around it. I didn't do the scheduling. I don't know who did the scheduling. But that's the way it's going to be. And in fact, I think you're going to be witnessing a lot of this for a long period of time. I'll give you a great example. If you're coming up from the south side, and I know oftentimes if you're from Boone, Hamilton, or Hancock County, everybody kind of forgets about that. But if you're coming up from the south side, it is awful. Because last check, here's what's going to happen. 65 northbound is going to be closed. Madison going northbound down to one lane. I want to say that Meridian is closed up by where that greenhouse is. And then shout out to the Indiana Railroad Company, because damn believe they're going to park their big-ass train right in the middle of the intersection on Bluff. So you guys have nowhere to go. Nowhere. So what you got to do is you got to chill. Or better yet, you got to plan and you got to leave early. Because I don't want this bringing you down. I want you to celebrate and have yourself one fantastic weekend. And it is going to be painful at times coming up tomorrow. But take a little bit of that pain away and plan accordingly. Now, we'll see if the Colts are doing so as well. If you are going to gauge, for example, by either what you read or I guess if you were out there, what you witnessed, I'll give you a great story. So I talked to Mike Chappell, and this is nothing against either because they both watched, but people just have different viewpoints. And if you remember, I talked to Greg Rakestraw prior to the end of practice, so things may have dramatically changed. But I got, everybody you talked to out there had different stories regarding this Colts team and how it played and how the quarterbacks played and how everybody looked. So the one thing I think we all have going for us tomorrow, and I've often wondered if there was going to be more of a decision being made during the joint practice yesterday or during the game coming up tomorrow. Mike Chappell suggested that, well, it's always better to do it in a real game type of situation. So I'll take him on his word. But again, you had differing opinions on how everybody looked. In some terms, Richardson, made this pass here, but the short stuff wasn't good. Daniel Jones is not dynamic enough, but he made passes that I don't know. So I guess what I'm going to tell you is I gather that what we witness in the first half coming up tomorrow is going to be the decision. Is it not? That is going to be the equivalent of the LeBron James decision. I am going to take my talents to week number 1. So I would assume preseason-wise, and I hate to hang it because it may turn out to be nothing, and hell, maybe they've already made the decision. And I hate to say it because it's a preseason game. And I also hate to say it because I haven't done too much really good, solid recognizing and comparing the facts from the past to where we are right now. But I can't remember a more important preseason game moment series, handful of series than Saturday. Is that fair to say? I know that doesn't have the impact, and I'm not trying to make it impactful for you at all. It sounds weird when I even say it. Wow, this is going to be the most important moment in preseason history. That sounds pretty stupid. But it would seem that tomorrow is going to have a strong effect on how you see things and how things are witnessed at the beginning of the regular season, in week number 1, for example, against the Dolphins. Seems like a pretty big deal. I don't remember vividly a lot of other deals that you would consider what's going on here, and especially all those that have, I know you're going to say finally, and you should, that are going to have gigs writing on what transpires or the decisions that are made, and then how those decisions end up showing the results. Hopefully the positive results. But it is a big deal. It's a preseason game 2 on a Saturday afternoon. Big deal.
You want to hear what Steichen said about all that? About when he's going to name the QB and all that?
Shane Steichen has told us, and here he is.
So this is the first question from Kravitz. He said, do you want to make this decision on Saturday? Producer Gaff. All right, hang on.
That's okay.
Yep.
Of it and moving the ball consistently up and down the field. Like I said, both have been doing a nice job, so we'll go from there. But I'm pleased with both of them, and we'll make that decision when it needs to be made.
You won't tell us how, obviously, but do you feel like you know where you're going with this?
I don't. I mean, I want to see how this thing plays out on Saturday, and then we'll see, early next week and see where it goes.
Yep.
So, yeah, whenever I make it, it's going to be made. I think the only thing of note right there is we'll see how it goes on Saturday. Don't you guys think? And herein lies the problem, Nathaniel, or anybody else out there that I've talked about all week long. When you're playing a team in the preseason that's playing all its second stringers, do you get a really good look? Here's the worst thing that can happen. Is throughout this team, the worst thing can happen is if they look bad against the second, third stringers and those that are going to be on the practice squad for the Packers. If they look bad tomorrow, and I've talked about the relative level of apathy that many have for this team right now. Can you imagine the growth of that? And, yeah, I've said this before. I come from a very small school in southwestern Indiana, and it was always kind of our dream. We got to play the big schools, and that'd be great. But, at times, what does that have for the big schools? It is, if you win, you're supposed to. And if you lose, it's awful. It's terrible. And you're getting ripped. And that's similar to what you're going to see coming up tomorrow. That's what you're going to see in this quarterback battle. That's what you're going to see with this team. The similarities do abound. So, yeah, that was a lot of really nothing right there. So I'm going to say what Mike Chappell said yesterday, I still think stands, is what you do in a game. The problem that you're going to have is how deeply can you gauge a game when there's not any frontline guys in there. That's tomorrow, 10 a.m. in Touchdown Town. That's when we officially get things underway. Preseason game number 2, me, Casey Valier. Matt Taylor's going to be a part of it in Countdown to Kickoff. You got Bill Brooks, you got Joe Wright, you got Rick Ventura. You got Rick for, I think, 3 segments coming up tomorrow, which should be outstanding. And as Rick told us earlier in the week, he's more, I don't know if it stands the same right now, but he was more on the side of Daniel Jones. But it is going to be a very interesting Colts pregame huddle, I promise you, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So at the very least, if you don't go early and you are stuck in traffic, make sure that you have things cranked with us on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Tomorrow, leading up to preseason game number 2, I should give you a reminder, by the way, to 317-239-1070. That's how you can send if you like, and we have some already in. If you want to send me a text, it's the text stream, I guess is what we call it here. Give you a great example of the text stream. JMV, it looks like to me in Daniel Jones' interviews, is a man who knows he is not the starter, but is prepping to eventually be the one. I can buy that. Like, I've thought all along that it was going to be Anthony Richardson anyway, and I'm not going to move off of that. I haven't really read into too much what Daniel Jones has said and how he's saying it and whether or not that's the case, but I'm not going to dismiss it at all. Not in the least. So, if you'd like to join us, you certainly can. 317-239-1070. That is our text stream. I mean, you can also utilize that to call in, but that is our text stream. I'll get you your message, I'll read it, and we'll get you on the air that way. If you say something good, you say something bad. But I did want to clear things, and I don't know how this got started. Evidently, this morning on the morning show, inside their equivalent of the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live, all of a sudden I started getting all these condolences on my social media regarding my mom. So I guess somebody got in there this morning and said my mom had died. And I don't really know because I don't get in there often. Here's why, too. I don't get in there very often because when I did get in there, I found myself kind of just focused on being in there. And there's a lot of other things going on. Not everybody is in there. So, you know, it's hard not to just have back and forth dialogue in there only. And that's a bit of a turnoff to everybody else. So I've kind of distanced myself from doing it. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I'm glad that you enjoy just conversing with us or getting to us or being a part of the show. That's really special to us all. But I didn't get inside the AAA membership lounge all that often. So I started getting all these condolence messages, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then somebody had said, hey, I'm sorry, somebody had said your mom had passed away. Inside the chat room on the morning show. And I said, well, I just talked to her like 20 minutes ago. So I called her even after that. She was going to Odin. She called me and says, hey, do you want me to get you some meat? And I said, probably not, because I don't know when I'm going to get down there. Probably not this weekend. So don't worry about the meat. And that's awesome of G to ask me about the meat. But she called me early, as usual, and then went to Odin. And I was trying to call her after somebody had mentioned that, and many had mentioned that, and didn't get a hold of her. And then I got a hold of her, and I actually told her, I said, hey, somebody inside the chat room on the morning show said you were dead. And her response was, and I regret not taping it because this would have been awesome. And this is a direct quote. Her response was, I am right effing here. Said, okay, you are. Who would do that? And then she said, oh, I think I know who would do it. And I said, no, you don't. Like, she's thinking of people down there that might do it, which is probably many. So she's probably rubbed some people the wrong way over these 80 years. But I said, no, I don't know who did it, but it was all started. And the reason why I had to check in, and it's not like I do think it's kind of funny. It was a bit of a hassle because the one thing that I wanted to guard against was one of my kids, like Blake was working part-time and he was at work and Laney was at school, and you never know if there's, somebody that's going to run into Blake and say, I'm sorry to hear about your grandma or something. I don't want that. So I did have to track everybody down this morning and say, hey, you may hear this, but she's good to go. And as cantankerous as ever. I am right effing here. Cool. All right, then. And I think, Nathaniel, She had gone to the Odin locker and bought turkey, and somewhere along the way dropped it, and she was retracing her steps to find out where the turkey.
Lost
I'm thinking,
turkey.
listen, if you've dropped the turkey somewhere out in front of your house, a pack of wolves probably has it. But she is present and accounted for. I do want to thank you guys for this, even though it was a false alarm, and I'm very glad that it is. It is very nice for you guys to reach out of that capacity and be thinking about me. So if you feel embarrassed because you did mention that, don't. It is not a big deal. Not at all. In fact, through her cantankerous ways, she thought it was pretty funny. And now she's just sitting at home thinking about down there who did it, even though I told her it was nobody down there. But G is 79, going to be 80, and present and accounted for. Thank you guys very much for the thoughts. Our quick break, we shall return. The return of Bob Lovell on the other side. Hashtag Ask Pat, Pat Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. And the return of the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. Not only his return to the show, but back from Puerto Rico with the basketball team. We'll talk to the voice of the Hoosiers in the 5 o'clock hour. The stream, the app, it's HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I can see your messages coming in right now. You can also catch up 317-239-1070 with those messages. You can call in, do whatever you like on this Friday. Just don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. got that early afternoon game, preseason game 2 against the Packers at Lucas Oil Stadium. You got to leave with plenty of time. I know I sound like Ward Cleaver. It's, yeah, we better leave like 9 hours before we need to be there. I'm not trying to be Ward Cleaver here. I just want to save you the hassle and your pissing and your moaning and you being upset on the weekend that you need to embrace and have some fun. I just don't want you down like that. And believe me, you're going to be hit with a downer if you jack around and you don't get started. Because it's just going to be a mess around Lucas Oil Stadium especially. Just take my word, leave early, join us, and chill. Join us and chill. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, speaking of joining us and always chilling, I was doing the math in my head right here, and then I reached out to Nathaniel and said, what year is this for Indiana Sports Talk and the return edition with Bob Lovell at the helm? And Bob joins us now. Is this 31?
32.
32.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I agree with you.
Have we done any research in this market that who around here has maintained on the air in any way, any form, any fashion in 32 years like that? I mean, Chuck Lofton would have been the last one that comes to mind, and he retired back in June.
I've not looked at it, John. I have no idea. I just know that we've been on since 1994, and aside from some heart issues, I've made most of those weekends.
That's because you're the man.
No, it's because I'm not very smart.
No,
it's giving up every weekend I have to talk about football and basketball.
Well, and listen,
that's how smart I am.
Don't say that out loud because you got somebody sitting right here talking to you, following in your Saturday night footsteps. So yes, but I just do it with music.
Yeah. You and I've had that discussion before. I think you're crazy. I mean, I really do.
I'm nuts.
But
yeah.
I love you, but I still think you're crazy. I mean, you have a chance to be at home and be with the family, and yet you want to play music.
Playing music for the masses, and you're talking sports for the masses. 32 years. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody really. It doesn't ring a bell here. I'm sure there's probably somebody, but.
Well,
it's
John, everybody, I don't, you know me, I don't get caught up in that.
Yeah.
I just know that, hey, look, we do sports. And so guys like Chuck and others who do things infinitely more important than what I do, I'm just having a good time sitting in my house, talking to my friends about sports and getting paid for it. And so if there's a sweeter gig around other than maybe yours, I think I'm okay.
No, we have some sweet gigs. There's no doubt about that. You are a week away from things being official at the high school football level.
Right.
You got a lot of scrimmage. I'll give you a great example. How about, are you jealous that you can't be down at Eastern Green with the Thunderbirds in Brown County and their scrimmage in football? Can you imagine how they're tripping the light fantastic on the gridiron tonight?
Well, I'm not jealous. Although I'd like to be there. I'd like to. That's the one downside of this gig that I have, John, is I don't get to see games. It's kind of hard to squeeze in and beat a game and then be in front of a microphone and all of that stuff. And so it's hard. And I have to talk about 20 or so games that I haven't seen, but nothing beats being there in person and getting the emotion and feeling what that's all about. So I'm sure Greene County the anticipation is incredibly high down there.
Yeah, tonight. I can't imagine, with all due respect, there could be worse football viewed than that, to be honest. So, I don't know. I might be wrong. There may be something worse out there, but that seems like, until further notice, not great. So, yeah.
As their most prominent alum,
yes.
I think it's incumbent upon you to come to their financial rescue and help them out.
I wonder, I don't know if this is in Eastern Green, if this is in Eastern Heights. If this is in Nashville, I think it'd be worth the trip to go over there because you can hang around in Nashville afterwards. But if this is in Eastern Heights, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. And it'll be like 100 degrees in both places, I think, at the beginning of this. So that should be great.
sounds to me like you're not also going to come to their aid financially.
I try.
You're trying to dodge that issue.
Hey, I told them not to use the stucco on that building when they built that thing. Just stick with the old building. It was made of brick. It has a long time left in it, right? But we got to have a new
There
school.
you go.
We've got to host a sectional. We've got to do this. Went against it. Now kids are poking holes in the side of the building, the stucco building, with their pens. Well done.
That's it right there. They need you. They need your leadership.
That's what we do. Hey, I will say this. Do we start at the top of the list in 6A with things getting real next week with Brownsburg, CG, LN, Westfield, Hamilton Southeastern, and as they would say, the usual suspects?
Well, they really are. That's the one thing about football, John, especially in our state. It seems, quite frankly, that it is the usual suspects, if you will. And, you know, it's hard to go against a Brownsburg team that won the 6A championship with a tremendously talented group of sophomores. And LN had a tremendous run. I think everybody understands that. The LN-LC opener next week could be one of the best games, if not the best game in the state. And, you know, Westfield, everybody thinks highly of them, as they do Center Grove, and rightfully so. Decatur Central bumping up to 6A makes it kind of interesting, quite frankly. And then Hamilton County just continues to win. HSE and Fischer's. Carmel, I think, with John Ebert, is going to do well. Warren Central, Ben Davis, some great 6A teams around our state. And as you pointed out, some really good ball games next week.
The elevation of Decatur Central that has been so good athletically, really across the board, but especially in football. What's that going to do for the Southwest side?
I think it's going to get them even more energized than what they are, to be honest. I think that they are, you know, everybody. Look, Decatur Central football's had a long, long tradition of success dating back to when I was in school 100 years ago. And so they don't need much invitation to go out and have fun with their Hawks, but they're good. I mean, Bo Poston's as good as it gets at quarterback, and this should be a fun group to watch, quite frankly.
So 5A, New Pal, Cathedral, Maryville, Bloomington South, East Central. I'm kind of going down in some preseason polls right here. I guess we'll start with those 5 particular teams in that class.
It's hard. I mean, New Pal, Cathedral, if you can, those are 2 tremendous teams. You know, New Pal won 4A, got bumped up to 5A, so that's their dynamic going into it. Cathedral had a great run last year. A lot of those guys are back. I think that clearly you start with those 2. Maryville, as you mentioned, up north. Bloomington South, haven't heard much from them lately, but they've got a good group. East Central won in 4A, so they bump up to 5. Lafayette, Jeff, Castle, Whiteland. My Quakers have to be in this discussion in 5A, and so there's a lot of good teams, especially here in Central Indiana.
Yeah, 4A, I did want to bring this up because we talked so much about them a year ago. It was a Renaissance campaign with the Arties down in Morgan County at Martinsville. And I know friend of the show, Ryan Wolf, his son Reese, is going to be a senior down there and is a fantastic player. And I think they bring back some of what got them, again, that Renaissance season a year ago. What do you think about the Arties in 4A?
Well, I think, as you point out, they have some guys back. I think the one thing is, you know, they have a group that understands what they have to do. They've gotten better, and you get a little bit of taste of success, and you want much more. But I think when you look at 4A, I think they have a legitimate chance. But there's some really, really good teams. I mean, Heritage Hills with the Goldsberry kid, Jet Goldsberry, one of the best around, is very good. Chittard is always good. Mishawaka back from a great run. Wrights, Greenfield Central here locally having a good run at it too. Danville, as hard as it is for me to support Danville from my days back in Plainfield, they have a really, really good team. Greenwood, Martinsville is right in that discussion. So I'd be optimistic if I were a fan of the Artesians, quite frankly.
Yeah, so maybe another good season, back-to-back good seasons too.
Yeah.
Chittard, Heritage Hills, East Noble, Mishawaka, Greenfield Central. You know, down in southern Indiana, it's Wrights. Rod Colley maybe back in the mix a little bit. I think a year ago they were 6-5 were the Royals, so that's all coming up in 4A. And Bob Lovell's got everything for you later on tonight as far as Indiana sports talk. And season number 32 for Bob coming up later on tonight. 3A Lures Memorial, Gibson Southern, Lawrenceburg, Modern Day of Evansville, Adams Central, Linton, Lutheran, and Durand, Central Catholic 2A, and then in Class A, Providence, North Judson, South Putt, North Decatur, among those starting at the top to start a season. So, yeah, there are some good squads up there really from class to begin this season.
Well, there are. I think football in our state gets better and better. More and more players are recruited by power conferences. I think it's a reflection on the great coaching we have and the great players and great support in institutions and communities around our state. And so this should be, we're hopeful that weather is able to let us have some great work in the next few weeks. And so excited about season 32. We started this show, John, when I was 20. And so, I'm looking forward to it.
It's Bob Lovell, number 32, starts later on tonight. Back-to-back Friday and Saturday nights with Indiana Sports Talk. Around the state of Indiana, it simply put does not get any better. And Bob's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Per usual, Bob, every Friday, this is your spot. Cannot wait to get it started for real coming up next Friday night. Thank you.
I appreciate it, John. Have a great weekend.
Great to have him back. Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talk right there. Now, no, Jeremiah Wheatley says that means Friday Night Football is almost here. It does. 317-239-1070. The stream text is going on right now. I should turn that around. Text stream going on. Send me stuff. I'll read it. Call me. I'll put you on. Hashtag Ask Pat. Get questions for Pat Sullivan, top of the hour. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, his return coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Sit tight. Friday edition of this show's on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. That's a life version right here. Cold as ice. I do have free Yeti to give away, and you guys love yourself some free Yeti, courtesy of Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Hashtag Ask Pat. Get those questions in. Call. You can even send them via the text stream. 317-239-1070. Pat Sullivan joins us now in studio. It's a huge weekend at Sullivan Hardware and Garden because it is
Egg Fest, the
Egg Fest.
17th annual Egg Fest.
Big damn deal. Right. Where do we begin with Egg Fest? How many eggs do we have cooking, smoking?
About 70
Meat?
to 75.
70 meat smokers.
Yes.
That is just outstanding.
So all of our teams, or a lot of the teams, are already there and prepping for tomorrow. So it's really a kind of a fun experience for them.
Yeah.
They get together, maybe they put together a group of guys, friends, and they show up every year, and they cook and late into the night, and the beer is flowing and the stories, and
love it.
Yeah.
So what is the most unique meat that you have being smoked right now? Does anything stand out to you?
You know, occasionally there'll be some lamb, but I don't think there's anything because
I used to go to a mutton fest in Avoca, Indiana, in Lawrence County. There's this old fish hatchery, the Avoca Fish Hatchery,
Yep.
and they had a mutton picnic back in the summertime all these years.
Can't do that.
You can't do that anymore?
No, you know what?
Is that bad?
When I was in World War II, we got some mutton,
Yeah.
and it had gone bad, and it stunk so bad we actually threw it overboard.
Huh.
And my dad told that story so many times, I literally felt like I was standing on the deck of that ship.
So is mutton frowned upon now?
Only in World War II when it's gone bad.
Okay. I didn't know
But it has made me that I cannot
okay.
eat.
Well, this used to be, and I don't think I've had it since then, but it was a big damn deal back then.
Molten
Avoca,
mutton.
Indiana. Have you ever been to Avoca,
I have
Indiana?
not.
Oh, man. I believe that is where J.R. Holmes is from. I think he is from Avoca. I know he's from
Really?
Lawrence County, the head coach of Bloomington South.
Yeah.
One of the best coaches of all time in the state of
Nice.
Indiana. Avoca,
Avoca.
Lawrence County, that goes right into Bedford,
The Avoca Mutton Festival.
right into Old Lyttick, and sometimes it's pronounced by people that aren't from around here, ooh Lyttick, which makes me laugh, as in ooh Lyttick. Can you imagine?
No.
I can, because there's people from not around here. That's problematic, is it not?
You know the state
Ooh,
pretty well.
Lyttick.
You should do like the local traffic. You could do
Well,
traffic all over.
I
you
could in
know
a
it.
second. Well, this weekend it's going to be an absolute disaster.
So why are you? I heard you say that. What is going on downtown?
Northbound 65 is going to be shut down this weekend. Madison's one lane. Now, I know David Hammer told me that evidently Meridian is now open at whatever the greenhouse is down there on Meridian. And then Indiana Railroad's going to have one of their big-ass trains parked in the middle of the bluff down there like they always do. So, yeah, I think coming up or going down to the south side is going to be – I should say coming up from the south side is going to be impossible. So leave early, and I want everybody to chill.
Okay.
Yeah. Pat Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Hashtag Ask Pat. You ready to go?
I am ready.
It is an Egg Fest weekend, and your questions for free Yeti. You guys dig free Yeti. Somebody's going to win it. 4 o'clock hour starts with you at 239-1070. Next. Hashtag Ask Pat. All right, here's a traffic update for you, Southsiders. Not as of right now, but I guess going into tomorrow. Thanks for the shout out. This is from Dave Hammer. I work at the corner of Meridian and Bluff, Southside Steel.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to give him a bunch of junk if it was the Indiana Railroad. Let's park our train right in the middle of the intersection all the time.
I know the family that owns that, so I.
Oh, do you?
Very, very good
I rip
people,
them all the time.
Do you?
I'm a big train fan too, but yeah.
When you own a railroad, man, you can do that.
I think I like the band more than I like the Indiana Railroad. The band Train more than I do
Train.
that.
I do like Train.
I just went to Harry and Izzy's for a supper last Wednesday night, so I know firsthand that Reading Street, I think is what it is open from McCarty all the way south into Greenwood.
The Reading Railroad.
Yes. The Reading Is it Reading or Reading Railroad?
Right now it's Reading.
Was it Reading on Monopoly? Did we pronounce it wrong?
Depending on how you pronounced it.
We always said Reading Railroad. Did you say Reading?
I think so. But then what the hell would I know?
Hashtag Ask Pat.
I just wanted to mention, John.
Sure.
For 32 years.
32 years.
I would come in, do my show, and then I would come over to Network Indiana Studios and clean the seat for Bob Lovell so that he could come in.
Sure.
And so when you asked, is there anyone else that had been there as long as him, for him not to remember the guy that was cleaning his chair?
It was you.
It was me. 32 years.
That's nice. Is it like when you go work out someplace and you wipe off the equipment when you're done? Is that kind of what that's about?
That's just how much, I did my little show, and then, but the star would come in, Bob would come in, and I would take his robe and hang it up.
Sure he would.
So he remembered that I was here.
32 years.
32 years, and I started with Emmis, and then we purchased Network Indiana, and part of what came in the packages was Bob Lovell.
That's nice.
Yeah, Lovell.
Yeah.
They had them all packed up, and we opened up all the boxes and stuff, and Lovell was in one of them.
32 years later, that's that.
Yep.
You want to do some hashtag Ask Pat question? First of all, prop up Egg Fest.
Egg Fest tomorrow. Tomorrow from 10 until 4. We expect an early crowd, obviously, with the heat, but something to remember about last year it was 90 degrees. We had a great crowd.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of shade, we have a lot of fans, and if nothing else, we have over 30,000 square feet of air-conditioned building. And you just go out and get your plate, you get your beer, and you walk back in the store. You don't hang out in the patio.
Bad at all.
The patio department. So, but I think it's going to be I think it will be an early crowd and, might die a little bit towards the end, when it gets to whatever it is. I mean, I think it's 94 right now.
Yeah.
So.
It is going to get a little bit warm
It's been
out there.
wicked.
Yeah.
And I will tell you something funny that happened yesterday. The code enforcement came out, which isn't unusual.
Code enforcement.
For the
Explain what that is.
City of Indianapolis.
And then what were they enforcing? What code?
They are just trying to, they only come out if there's a complaint. And someone complained that we had more than one inflatable because we have a big.
There's a complaint department for more than one inflatable.
Well, they do other things as well. So this young man came and looked, very nice young guy from the city.
Is that your competition that does that?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like who would so
like the complaints I get is you're having way too good. Seriously, I get complaints about me having too good of a time.
Yeah. Well,
and then I tell those complaining to smooch my rear.
So yeah. And, I've been on the corner so long, and so he said, you're only allowed to have one inflatable. Yeah. We have these big green egg inflatables. You only can have one for 10 days. And because I've been around so long, I said, how many days do I have to correct that violation? And he said 10. I said, so really, I could have 10 inflatables for 10 days, no problem. And he goes, yeah.
Nice.
It's just so funny, and I feel bad that the city.
Who are the code enforcers? Who are these people? What are they go to school, code enforcement school?
Code enforcement school. They're just underpaid bureaucrats that. And
underpaid
this kid was really
bureaucrats.
He was just a young guy.
Are they like ticket writers on the street down here?
Oh, sure. Well,
citation writer?
No. This is all code. So this would be, if you had a fence in the wrong place, on all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Why is there even a code for an inflatable? You should just put out 20. Seriously, put out. So what are they going to do? Like, what do they do? Like, what if they go, okay, you've got a violation here for this inflatable code. I'm going to write you up. What's the punishment?
They will start billing you at $250 every couple of weeks. And really, if it's good promotion or something like that, we'll just pay the fine. It's like advertising.
Well, it's great promotion right here because I can use this voice and well, wait a minute, you've got too many inflatables. I'm the inflatable police.
And then he looked at the dumpsters. He goes, "You need to have those." And then I said, "Well, we put them behind the fence."
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay."
So you had to deal with that today?
No, that was yesterday. Today, the city of Indianapolis, actually, Bob Schultz. You know Schultze?
Bob Schultz, I don't.
Bob Schultz from the great city of Indianapolis. And
what's Bob do?
Bob is a consultant now because
then he
worked for downtown Indy.
Does that mean he wasn't any good at that first? Because normally when you become a consultant, that means you weren't any good at your first job doing it.
No, he actually
that's what they do in radio. You become a consultant.
Completely different.
You can't do radio, so you become a consultant and you tell everybody how to do it. Something you can't do.
Downtown Indy passed him up for a job that he should have had. And so he went ahead and is teaching.
So Bob's a pretty smart guy.
Bob really should run for mayor, quite honestly.
Okay.
There's somebody that he loves his city. But anyways, he called.
I don't even know who the mayor is. Who is the mayor?
Mayor Hogsett.
Yes, Joe Hogsett.
So I'm hoping that we can get Schultze to go Schultze for mayor because he loves his city.
Shout out to Bob.
But he was calling. So on one hand, I have somebody getting on me about my inflatables.
Yeah.
And Schultze wants us, which we do, set up all the trees for the celebration of lights on Monument Circle.
Is there light police out there? You got too many lights?
No,
I don't know.
We set that. We just kind of do that and help the city out and do that. So on one hand, we're in trouble on our inflatables, and on the other hand, they want our Christmas trees on the circle.
I had, and this is not the same at all. I had somebody, I guess, inside the chat room this morning on the morning show claimed that my mom had died.
I know. I'm sorry about that. I feel bad. And, I've already sent flowers.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had to, but it was classic. It got a classic quote from her. I wish I was taping it. That's the only, when I called her to get proof of life, when I called her for proof of life, I thought to myself, I should be taping this because this is going to be classic.
Yeah.
And then when I told her, it was, I'm right effing here.
Yeah.
I should have been taping.
Your mom
That's unique and organic, like radio consultants would be drooling all over themselves.
She sounds like an episode of Monty Python. I'm not dead yet.
She's something, let me tell you. And then she kind of griped at me for about 5 minutes. I go, hey, I bet I know who that is. And I said, I bet you don't. There may be 1,000 people down there that think about you in that way, but over these nearly 80 years. But this is more about me.
Has your mom mellowed out a little bit?
No, she's not mellowed out at all.
She'll raise in hell.
She's going to live forever. Seriously.
Did she call in the inflatable complaint?
She would be the first one to call in the inflatable complaint. She complains because our neighbors up the road, we have 40 acres, and she hasn't seen 38 of the acres in 40 years, right?
Right.
So, and she's always saying, well, I know that they're up there on my property. As you haven't even seen that property in decades. What are you talking about? I know that you got to walk up there and see. I think they're up there on my property.
Is that the code enforcer voice?
It's kind of infiltrating my mom's voice. You better go see. I think they're cooking meth.
Did your
I believe they're cooking meth, or they're shooting something.
Did your mom listen to the show?
I tried to give her a way to do it. She was so pissed when they took away the AM.
Oh, yeah.
So Pat Walsh could water ski behind another yacht.
Yeah.
When they took that away. She was so mad about that, but I gave her a way that she could listen, but you kind of have to be there to do it. Yeah. So it's tough. I guess the AM is still functioning somewhere on the building here, by the way, too.
Very
low power.
Oh, really?
Like a toaster power.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of how Apollo 13 got back, like that type of power.
That sucked
that
they let that.
It sucks in a big way. And, and everybody, I got all the old schoolers try to tell me how great it was, and now nobody listens. And as I've tried to tell everybody, and one of these days they'll listen, any avenue available to listen needs to be available to listen, because you don't know. It's just like this whole lounge thing, or the whole chat room stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be an all-inclusive club, because there are way too many damn options out there not to be. And I explained that until I was blue in the face, and of course I'm old school guy that doesn't get it. But I think I get it better than most, and I sure as hell don't want to be told otherwise. The more inclusive that you are, the better you are going to
absolutely.
be. And we ended up cutting people out with that.
Yeah, we did initially with our show when we went to 93, and you obviously, the fan then took over 1070. The problem for IBC was with daylight saving time, that 1070 signal goes southeast to 10,000 watts.
Yeah.
And it was all,
But you'd still take it right here. I mean, it's still a big, see, and here's the thing I always thought about is those, especially during harvest time in the farming community, and they're down in Decatur County or down in Jackson County or the out further donut counties around Marion doing work in the field, and they've got it on the AM in there.
We lost a lot of listeners that were way out.
Yeah, and I like any avenue of, I don't care if it's a Dixie cup and string, use it.
Yeah. Because
there are some people that do, and you don't want to take people out of this equation in radio. There's just way too much competition out there. But, the consultants, Pat, say otherwise because they know.
I know they do.
They know everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, #AskPat. All right. I was up there, and I know it, and they fogged for it, and it was good because Monday it was awful. Thursday was much better. Hoverflies. So we'll start at #AskPat. Jeremiah has a question again. The free Yeti up for grabs right here. If we read your question or put you on the air and Nathaniel selects you, how can we safely repel hoverflies? #AskPat.
Safely.
Safely.
They always have to throw in
I guess
safely.
you don't have to chemically put yourself in peril, right? Or anybody else for that matter.
Well, what I would use is I would take, this is for me.
Okay.
I would take a general purpose insecticide, not systemic, but just a general purpose, and I would spray that over the areas where I see the heaviest infestation. If I wanted to use something organic, and again, dude, it's just going to work. I think it'll help. But I would use probably like neem oil or something like that, fog some neem oil over it.
Gotcha.
But
I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a really good solution.
It's an organic that is very popular, probably the number one organic insecticide and fungicide in the country.
Okay.
In the world, possibly the world.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremiah, there you go with the hoverflies. And they were thick as thieves, I'll tell you, on Monday.
They always, you hate it.
And I thought I was honey roasted.
And they sting you.
Do they really?
Do they? I'm asking
I don't know.
you. You're the one with them.
I smacked a couple, and it was like bloody. It was like that.
Yeah.
So, but it was me and Mooney, Charvarius Ward, the Colts cornerback, and we were just swatting like crazy together talking. Yeah, it was something.
Good.
But they fogged up there, and there were a lot less of them yesterday for that final day.
Who fogged? Oh, at Colts camp?
I think maybe Westfield did.
Okay.
And Westfield does a tremendous job with that up there. I gave them a lot of credit yesterday. I mean, they really do it right.
Carmel does not worry about it because of the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they keep that during fly season.
I love going up there and hearing about the tug of war that seems to be addresses and zip codes up there between what is Carmel and what is Westfield. That is absolutely brilliant. So I love that.
Yeah, I can't wait till they both get armies. I think that's going to be really cool.
That'd be good. Kevin, #AskPat, is now an okay time to treat my lawn for clover and crabgrass, and how do I do it?
Well, you know what? It's a little bit hot is the problem, and because now we're in a dry period, you want to kill a weed when it's actively growing. So now's not exactly a great time. The best time to kill a weed, and we're so close, would be when in the fall when the movement in the plant is down towards the root, because that way the weed killer goes to the root rather than just burning the top. The crabgrass, I will tell you, you can go ahead and get a crabgrass and broadleaf and go ahead. You'll kill some of it, but first frost, it's going to die. And just make sure if you had it bad, I would put your pre-emergent down twice in the spring. Once in mid-April and the other time maybe in late May.
Hashtag Ask Pat, free Yeti up for grabs. If we read your question on the air, I'll take your call. I'll look into, as well, coming up here in a minute, the text stream, 317-239-1070. But Darnell is asking this for a friend. How do you get rid of gnats in your kitchen? It sounds like a song from the 1980s.
Yeah, those are probably the...
baking soda to vinegar, boiling hot water?
You can get little, like little traps. I'm losing the name of the thing. They're always they're fruit flies. Fruit flies that get in, So what you can do, make sure you clean up the kitchen, make sure if you have any overripe fruit, get rid of it. Check out the pantry, make sure just clean, and then get these little traps, and you will find that they go in and
gnats in the kitchen. There's a song by UB40.
Really?
From the 1980s called Rat in the Kitchen.
That'd be completely
There's
different.
a rat in the kitchen. It's very...
So is that like a drug dealing thing?
Well, I mean, it is very Marley-esque, UB40. A little reggae-ish. UB40. English beat was kind of reggae-ish at times, too. But Rat in the Kitchen. Never heard of that song before?
No.
All right, Tim.
No.
Very famous song right there, Pat Sullivan.
Rats in the kitchen.
Is a rat in the kitchen. What am I going to do?
Could you hum a bar?
Hey, go ahead and see if you can find it over there, Nathaniel. We'll play it here.
I'm working on it.
Coming up in a minute. Meantime, hashtag Ask Pat. Jared wants to know, what kind of hair product are you rocking these days, brother? This would be Old Spice right here.
Old Spice for
Old
you.
Spice, yeah, it's really kind of like cement or caulk. It's Old Spice pomade, I believe, is what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not rocking any hair product
you're
over
not,
here,
buddy. See, here's one right here. I listen to the AM signal in northern Howard County. I just always think about it, especially as we get into this time of year for harvest, because I always heard for so many farmers who are out working and they're listening in the afternoon. I just don't like to take away an avenue of receiving our content. No matter where we are digitally, we can do it all.
Yeah.
So I always thought, if you can do it all, do it all.
So the problem with that was that they sold the land.
Correct.
That the antenna was on out
Correct.
In
yes,
the Zionsville area.
Correct. And that was the previous ownership.
Yeah. So we just need to find a tall pole.
And I think it's still on at a very low power right here. I think if you're downtown, you can actually
we can find
hear it pumping just a little
tall pole somewhere. Put that sucker back up.
It's I always thought it was a good thing to be out there as much as you can, wherever you can, no matter what fashion it might be.
We always had a lot of listeners from Kokomo, Howard County.
I love driving around, because that is still, even though it has obviously decreased over the years, over the decades, I mean, it is still a big deal when I drive around and see harvest time around central Indiana, the state of Indiana. It's always kind of special, because these folks are working hard and get inside there, maybe
nothing
crank
better
it up.
than the sun's going down and the dust is coming up.
The dust is coming up. Completely agree. Hashtag Ask Pat from BT Do. This is on the text stream, 317-239-1070. What is the best way to keep my cold drinks cold and hot drinks hot?
Well, I would think the Yeti for sure.
Free Yeti is always the great way. FedEx Guy says, hashtag Ask Pat. How do you get rid of spiders? Now, I don't think he meant ride. How do you get rid of spiders? Rid of spiders. How do you get rid of those spiders?
If you inside, if you don't want to spray, you can certainly spray. There's spider spray for the inside. I would do a band treatment on the outside of your house. Get a nice common insecticide, like 7 or something, out 5 foot, 2 to 3 foot high, all the way around the band. And then if you don't want to use any insecticide, there is organic Maggie's, a name of a product called Maggie's Farm. It makes a really nice organic line, or you can get a spider trap.
Spider trap.
Which is just a piece of sticky paper.
You ever seen the movie Arachnophobia? There was going to be no spider trap that was going to keep those things in.
I have not seen that
You've never seen Arachnophobia?
Remember.
That's Jeff Daniels, John Goodman.
All I've
classic.
done is
Spiders
children,
running rampant all over this town in Northern
children,
California.
and I've worked my entire
Very
life.
quiet town, quiet community, infiltrated by highly venomous spiders. It's problematic
really
back in
stupid.
1990. Arachnophobia.
Sounds dumb.
Oh, it's good stuff. UB40. Rat in the kitchen. Thank you, Nathaniel.
No,
That's good stuff right there.
nothing.
You can't ride with the
Nothing.
reggae at all?
Nothing.
I'm telling you, that's party atmosphere
And that
right
I will
there.
say I could dance to that.
Did you like Bob
I
Marley?
danced.
Because that was Bob
I
Marley
did like
music
Bob
was your
Marley.
wheelhouse
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
I always thought that one of the greatest party albums of all time, and everybody kind of equates party albums to dancing, but one of the greatest party albums of all time, I think to this day still is Bob Marley Legend.
Oh, really?
Just got all his greatest back to back to back to back to back. And I know what everybody thinks about when a Marley record is playing or CD, or in this case, maybe a Spotify, wherever you get your musical fun from. But I think it's still high-quality party entertainment, Bob Marley. But UB40 is great. UB40, I think English beat sometimes goes a little bit of 80s reggae. That's good stuff right there.
When you start talking like that and look at me and you see my face, you just go.
You have no idea what I'm talking
No,
about. Well, that's what
none.
when you talk about spider traps and organic oils and stuff, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking
That's
about
true.
either. Fulton is at 239-1070 with hashtag AskPat. Hello, Fulton.
Hello.
Hello, Pat. Hello, John.
Hey,
How are you
Fulton.
guys?
How are you, man?
What do you got for Pat Sullivan, Fulton?
Well, my plants keep dying. I've been watering them, and I just don't know how I can get those back up.
Did you plant them upside down?
No, I watered them
What kind
in
of
the morning.
Are these your plants inside the house?
No, they're outside.
They're outside. How much are you watering? How much are you watering? So that's too much water. Is that water?
How much do we water them?
That sounds like wind
We-
right there.
Oh,
We actually do a
sprinkler system.
some kind in the days or something like that.
Okay. Well, you know what? Here's what I would do is I would fertilize them. Get a little Miracle Grow fertilizer,
Yes.
and then you put that on it. And then if it's an annual flower, you want to water it each day, but don't overwater them. So I know it's a balance, Fulton.
I think they're like, hey, Fulton, I think they like chocolate
Yeah.
milk too. Like water them with
Oh,
chocolate
really?
milk. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
He's lying.
I'll probably see you at the touchdown town tomorrow,
I
John.
bet you will. Wait a minute. You got to go to Egg Fest too. Are you going to make the appearance at Egg Fest?
He's got a big
Do
day
you
at
have
the Colts
VIP
game.
tickets for me, Pat?
Oh, yeah, for you. You just walk right in the back door, buddy.
What time does that start? 'Cause
Starts
the
at
game
10
starts
o'clock.
at 1 o'clock for the Colts.
I don't know. It's gonna be tight because there's gonna be a lot of people there. It's 10 o'clock, but you really need to be downtown because traffic's
Yeah,
gonna be a
yeah.
mess. And you know what? Did you say you're going to be on the field?
I might.
You might. Okay, that's good. And the Colts gave you the tickets, right?
Yeah, I was the Colts Hall of Fame winner, so.
Way to go,
Very
buddy.
Good, man.
Well,
Congratulations.
we'll see you down there
Yeah.
tomorrow. Maybe you can do both. You can make Egg Fest too. Okay, Fulton?
I could try.
You
I
got
could
it,
try,
buddy.
John.
All right, that's Fulton right there.
All right, call me on Sunday.
Hashtag Ask Pat. He's going to call in your show tomorrow. I'm calling in your show tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I start at 10 a.m. on the Colts pregame huddle, so I'm going to have to call in the 9 o'clock hour
That'd be good because
on
you
the
know
inbound to touchdown
different-
town.
we have different listeners each
Yes,
hour.
you do.
So it's good to
Some
move it
radio
around.
consultant actually got something right. That is accurate. You do have different listeners every hour.
Yeah, and I try to get our advertisers to, you know, if
Yes.
there are only one or two spots, to try to move it around a little bit.
Egg Fest is tomorrow, and
Yeah.
tickets are available.
Yeah, so the Big Green Egg is the world's greatest smoker, and so there will be about 35 different booths. And you just go around and you can talk to the guys, or you can just eat. There's, you know, beer, wine, all of
Yeah.
that for purchase, but the food is all included in the ticket. There's two bands playing, Boogie Nights
Boogie Nights is awesome. What
and
the-
Tommy and his band. I forget the last name. I apologize.
Tommy and his band.
Yep. So the Boogie Nights, I believe, is playing first, which will be great. They're kind of our house band, so they do a great job. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I know it'll be hot. But really, get in there at 10 o'clock. It's not going to be bad. I figured it's going to be a pretty good crowd from 10 to about 1.
Right on.
But if you don't like a crowd, come a little later. Remember, you can always get food, go inside the air conditioning, but we're setting you up. A matter of fact, the Michaelis Corporation let us use 16 of their big industrial fans.
Cool.
So that's pretty
That's
cool.
great.
Yep.
And then I think Mark Sion be there?
Mark will be there.
He has transformed some old Big Green Eggs into beds where they can lay down.
Really?
When they
Yeah,
take a nap
could
after
be.
they eat.
Mark is the local, well, not the local, he's our local rep
Yes.
for the Big Green Egg, but actually covers the state of Indiana and I believe some of Kentucky.
Pat
well.
Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Ashley has a statement for you in closing.
Yes.
Not a question, but wanted to say I stopped by Sullivan's for the first time on Monday. Needed to get a key copied. Everyone there was incredibly kind. The prices were great. I could have spent all day there. I'll be back for sure.
That's great.
That is a statement from Ashley. Hashtag
That's
Ask Pat.
great, man.
You guys want to field one more? We got a caller.
Sure.
Go ahead.
George?
Hashtag Ask Pat at 239-1070. Hello, who's this?
This is George.
Go ahead, George.
Hey, love hearing Pat on Saturdays, and of course, JMV, you're the best as well. But
Thank you, brother.
I'm trying to figure out what happened to my Rose of Sharon. I planted this thing about it was December of 23. Did fine last summer, and I was watering it. It was doing well, and I was gone for a week at the early part of June, and the heat hit, and the leaves have been dropping ever since. They're just all shriveled up. It looks dead, and I'm just, I did the fingernail test. I've heard you suggest that.
Yeah.
I see some green, but I'm just wondering what happened to it.
So is this Rose of Sharon, is this like a one, does this die all the way down to the ground?
I don't think it, yeah, it did. Yeah, there's not
Okay.
a green leaf on it.
Okay, but I mean, in normal times, does it come up from the ground, or does it have? Is it a shrub like where it has branches that go dormant in the winter, or does it die all the way down? Because they're both in the hibiscus family. So there's Rose of Sharon and hardy hibiscus. How big are the blooms?
They were like a
dinner
couple
plate.
Inches. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's just regular. So that you are getting hit by the heat. They do not like the hot weather, and they're subject to botrytis blight. If you see any kind of moldy stuff, and what they do is they'll bud up and then they never open. So there's not a whole lot. But what I do think is that come September, it'll start blooming, and you'll get a little bit of blooms out of it before the end of the season. But there's not a whole lot. The hot weather is going after the Rose of Sharon.
I thought maybe that's what it was. It just looks so sad sitting there, and the wife likes it right there by the kitchen window. So
Yep.
I want to try to keep it.
You got it. George, thank you for the call.
Yep. Don't overwater
Thank
it.
Hashtag Ask Pat. Pat Sullivan and Egg Fest tomorrow, and the Home and Garden Show begins at 9 a.m.
Absolutely. Hey, one last thing.
Sure.
If it was you, should I set up the broadcast inside the air-conditioned building and kind of be like Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom?
Yeah, like Marlon Perkins, staying safe.
So I would stay inside, and then I would send Denny outside.
Correct. I would do just that. Yes.
Stay inside, and then send Denny out for samples.
I would absolutely do that.
That's kind of what I was leaning to.
Good call.
Oh, thanks.
Pat Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Hashtag Ask Pat and Egg Fest coming up tomorrow at Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, John.
Pat Sullivan in studio. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, returns to this show at 5 o'clock. Don't miss it. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Guard who is out for the season with that Achilles injury, talking about his recovery, his rehab from that injury at his basketball camp in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I will say this. You could not ask for a more upbeat, determined team leader. And I think that there is a large scale of importance in that, too. Because we do have around here, you've noticed, right, such a defeatist attitude. And you kind of serve that on a silver platter by people nationally dismissing this group already. So then you just, I think, automatically slide into that category, fall into that category. And then it's always good to hear something uplifting and upbeat regarding a situation that still, for every Pacer fan, is so painful. And I've said this before, I can't watch after the 7-minute mark. I sure as hell can't watch what took place at the 7-minute mark of Game 7 back in June in Oklahoma City. And you want to erase it, and then when you erase it, what you end up doing is you kind of wallow in the muck of a defeatist attitude, and that is far from what Tyrese Halliburton exudes. Really, every time that he talks, every time that you see him, you're incredibly fortunate you have that dude around here. I think, for a variety of reasons. And he's one of those to where you're incredibly unfortunate, or you're incredibly fortunate to have him around here for reasons on the floor and off the floor. He has fit everything perfectly. And oftentimes, that's difficult. Tyrese Halliburton right there. We talked yesterday about the Pacer schedule. Home opener against OKC. We know that 3 on the road. They go back-to-back. Memphis, Minnesota, and Dallas. Back home in the Emirates Cup against Atlanta. And then on November the 3rd, the return of Miles Turner. All of a sudden, Miles wants to be the heel. He wants to be the adversary. And really said some stupid crap on his way out of town. And he is going to regret, I would assume, knowing him over the past 10 years and certainly supporting him for the past 8, unlike anybody else has, he's going to regret those words. He's probably going to have to digest those words. Because as I mentioned yesterday, he is not built for that. He's not built to be the heel. He's got to be embraced and loved and everything going okay. And listen, there are a lot of people. I operate at a level where everything needs to be going right too. And when things go haywire, I go, kind of lose it a little bit. Now, I've said this before, Nathaniel, on Saturday night, because I know about 75, 80% of that board upstairs on B105.7. If anything ever goes haywire and screws up, I just kind of shut it off and go home because I don't know what the hell to do. I'll lose it. It's better to be able to react and respond to those situations, but Miles is the same. Everything's got to be going right for him. And I'm not at all altogether sure that things are going to go right for him whatsoever when he's decided to take that particular path or tact. This is 317-239-1070, what we like to call the text stream. We have that and the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. From BK, JMV, do you think whatever quarterback plays better tomorrow is going to win the competition? No way it goes into week 3, right? Here's what I think. I think Anthony Richardson was already going to start. Now, if I am not true with that, if I am absolutely wrong about that assessment, and he is not good whatsoever, and Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones is not going to get as much time as you think. So does he really have the opportunity to show that there is this drastic difference? But I've thought all along it's going to be Anthony Richardson, and I will hang in that particular category of Anthony Richardson. I guess, BK, I don't want to completely dismiss tomorrow not playing a role, because then everybody's going to start saying, well, that means everybody's lying. I think that obviously Shane Steichen stays very guarded in the conversation, the dialogue, and then his ultimate decision in this. But I've thought all along that this is still going to be a fast track for Anthony Richardson. And then if things don't go right, if it's inefficiency, if it's injury, which we know nobody's going to hold their breath thinking it won't happen, then it's going to be Daniel Jones, and we'll see if Daniel Jones ever gets unseated. But I thought that all along, going all the way back to when Daniel Jones was signed in the first place, and I will, BK, continue to believe that. That is how the text stream works. Somebody asked me, do I need wine? I am not much of a wine drinker. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
I am not much of a wine drinker.
You can't shotgun it. So
I
why
am,
would you?
yeah. I could shotgun it probably, right?
That's fair.
Do people drink wine warm? Is it warm? Served room temperature?
You kind of like it chilled a little more, but
I
you
am
can drink it warm.
not a wine connoisseur in the least, Nathaniel.
Little piece of cheese, some grapes.
Yep. We got a text from Noblesville, JMV. Kroger has organic ground bison for $9.49 a pound. Organic ground bison. Thank you very much for the shout out to Kroger up in Noblesville for the ground bison. I will tell you this. I had a red Fraser bison patty a little bit earlier today from the State Fair. Outstanding. Red Fraser is a place down in southern Indiana where I am from. I believe it is a bison farm. But Red Fraser has quality bison. And it is out at the State Fair, and I had a patty of that. But I'm going to tell you this. It's well done on the heads up on the $9.49 a pound bison. I shall be going that direction. Skivvies writes this, JMV, it's laughable when people, especially nationally, come down on Tyrese Halliburton. There's so much wrong with sports in spots, but he ain't it. There is absolutely 100% accurate. Tyrese Halliburton is perfect here. Perfect. And it's hard to be perfect here. He's it. And that entails on the floor, off the floor, embracing absolutely everything, being out, being a fan, connecting. There's so many different layers, and many are unable to do it. Tyrese Halliburton at the star level is able to do it. Again, that can be a difficult thing. There are a lot of reasons why I'm excited. It doesn't take Tyrese Halliburton and, an uplifting paragraph of, well, this is where I am and I'm feeling good to make me feel good. I still like this group as much as I liked the group a year ago. Now, will that change with the win-loss category and how things go? I hope not. But as it stands right now, I am still fully a believer in this group that they have. Not to the level in which they reached a year ago, but I'm a believer nonetheless. This is what the Colts have to establish, a believability in them. And it starts with the quarterback. And the coaching staff at Shane Steichen suggests that gauge is going to come tomorrow and even into next week. Do you buy that? 239-1070. I will talk with you on the other side. And how IU basketball played for Darren DeVries in Puerto Rico. He was there. He was a part of it. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. That and what he has seen out of IU football in yet another season where you've got now beyond hope. You're playing off of the success of a year ago with a new, highly touted quarterback and a team everybody is in love with right now. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, also talks IU football coming up top of the hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., your coverage begins right here on The Fan. Me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, Joe Wrights, and Rick Venturi have all you need to do. We're going to cut through it all and get down to especially the quarterback battle position, which, according to most, could ultimately be decided in the first half of that game coming up tomorrow. That's a 1 o'clock start. Noon is countdown to kickoff with Matt Taylor. We start at 10 a.m. in American Family Insurance Touchdown Town, and I cannot wait to see you there. So get early because there will be significant traffic foobar because of construction. Join us early. Touchdown Town tomorrow, 10 a.m. on the Colts pregame huddle. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, back with us for yet another year coming up at the top of the hour. But Mike in Brooklyn, New York is at 239-1070 right now. Hello, Mike.
JMV, what's up?
What do you got, pal?
Yeah, listen, I got a question. Is there anything amiss going on in that Colts organization? I noticed that Ed Dodds gave the end of training camp press conference and coupled that with some of the people covering the team saying that Ballard has been less visible at training camp. I don't know how true that is. And also the fact that, he's been a lot more vocal about, pulling back the curtain on the Anthony Richardson decision, kind of intimating that Irsay kind of, wanted to see him play. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. What do you think?
I think they got fingers crossed across the board on something working out at the quarterback position. Yeah, I listen, I don't know if I would describe it as business as usual, right? But I think it's pretty damn close to it. I don't know if there's any, I wouldn't call out the conspiracy theory police at all regarding into this. That's just me. And what I've witnessed so far. I just think that for the most part, they just got a lot of fingers crossed on how ultimately something can come together with this particular group.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you.
I know. It's just I guess I'm reading into it because I remember right after the draft, Ballard said when they asked him about the decision, he said, "When the time is right, me, Shane, and Jim will sit down." And then last couple of days ago, Shane Steichen said, "Well, after this preseason game, me, Chris, and Carly are going to sit down and talk about it. So is this going to be one of those, ownership things? Well, we want to see Anthony Richardson." But
listen, if you're asking me, and Mike, thanks for the call. I got to hit the top of the hour, but you call again next week because we got to talk it up on Monday for real. We're going to this preseason game too. That to me is just the protocol of it more than anything else. Mike, make sure you call coming up on Monday. We'll get a breakdown of preseason game 2, which would seem to be one of the more important moments we have seen in recent Colts preseason history, I would guess, considering the quarterback position. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, has returned from Puerto Rico and has returned to this show. Don joins us next. You can ask me because I'm going to have these with me. I've got 4 passes, general admission to Wham Fest at Craig Park in Greenwood coming up tomorrow. Wham Fest is a celebration of wine, art, music, and microbrew. I don't know about the art thing. I was never much of an artiste. But Wham Fest is pretty famous down in Johnson County, and I have 4 passes. I will carry these with me, and whomever finds me, I'll let you know where I'm going to be. And if you want these, then you want to attend at some point tomorrow, I've got 4 passes for you. So hopefully that is a track down for Wham Fest, Craig Park in Greenwood coming up tomorrow. In case you've either been or never been. But it is a pretty damn good time. You know, the one thing I didn't bring up today, by the way, the Cubs did lose. 3-2 was the final. I know Cubs fans will be frustrated because Pete Crow Armstrong led off the bottom of the 9th with a base hit and then got thrown out at second because he overslid the base, which is never good. Cubs end up losing game 1 of a weekend set at home at Wrigley to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I haven't talked too much about the Live Golf Tournament, which started a little bit earlier today up at Chatham Hills in Westfield. Man, I don't know about you. In Hamilton County, you guys are dealing with it too. Southbound on 31 yesterday, basically from Greyhound Pass all the way down to get to where I was going. I was a part of an event with the Greenwood Rotary, Center Grove Rotary, I should say, and Damar Services last night. I stood up in front of them and talked for the better part, 35, 40 or so minutes, down at the Sycamore at Mallow Run. And it took me a little bit longer, but it would have taken me a lot longer had I not bailed off of 31 because it was an absolute disaster trying to get out on it. But I ended up going west and then running over to Shelbourne and then cutting down to Michigan Road and going that way. And that shaved a little bit of time off of what ultimately was going to be a hell of a lot longer time trying to get home. It was going to be brutal. Or in this case, near my home down at the Sycamore Mallow Run. And two, by the way, shout out to my friend Sean Collinsworth of Damar Services, who invited me to speak. And so did Dan and Dan from the Center Grove Rotary. They invited me to speak, and I had an absolute blast with those people. Just an absolute blast. Now, that's one thing. Like when you say, hey, can you speak? And here's some drinks. And I can speak and drink like nobody's business. Like it's almost like I felt like I got the hook. I got about 40, 45 minutes deep, and they go, hey, you know what? I think it's about bedtime for everybody. It's getting late. I was just going and going and going. I love it. But thanks to the Smiley Bros, led by one Sean Collinsworth, Damar Services, which is an incredibly special group, such great work. If you remember, did a little stand-up comedy for them a couple of years back at the Mirage, which was outstanding. But last night, that was great, and the Center Grove Rotary was representing. Just a really good time. I want to thank everybody down there for asking me to be a part of it. I was proud to be there and to talk, not at you, but with you. I did mention this a little bit earlier. Michigan received a series of fines that could eclipse $30 million, but avoided punitive penalties such as postseason bans or the vacating of victories, including the 2023 national title season. The NCAA Division I Committee on Infractions ruled on the Wolverines' advanced scouting case. That happened earlier today, and most of you are readily aware of those penalties that came down. And certainly more penalties for the now head coach, Jim Harbaugh, of the LA Chargers. It's a 10-year show cause penalty, and it won't begin until after he serves a current 4-year show cause that runs through 2028 for a previous NCAA case. Michigan was doing some cheating, everybody. Deeply rooted cheating. And got busted for it. That decision came down earlier today. 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. That is the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day on a Friday coming up here. And around the bottom of the hour, ooh, that's well done out of you. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, just sent me a picture where he's standing behind Adam Sandler as Adam Sandler was on with me on Radio Row. That was outstanding. I told that story last night, too. That's when I got banned by ESPN because I got in that Twitter battle with Adam Schefter, and he ratted me out to ESPN, and then ESPN people ratted me out to the leaders here, and I had to go have a meeting with everybody. Just absolute jackassery. And then for that entire week leading up to the Super Bowl, we were on Radio Row at the JW Marriott, and no ESPN people were allowed to go on my show. I was blackballed effectively. Strong. But Matt Taylor went out and got Adam Sandler on this show, so everybody else could smooch my rear. I couldn't care less. Oh, no, I didn't get Teddy Bruschi. What am I ever going to do? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's Adam Sandler. Oh, man, not Teddy Bruschi. I can't have Teddy Bruschi? Well, how am I ever going to go on with this show? Oh, man, Schefter's not going to come by. Darn it. I'll take Sandler. Good pictures right there. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. I'm assuming he probably has some quality Caribbean photographs, too, to share on his venture down there with IU basketball. We'll get into that and IU football as well. We're glad he is back for yet another year because we are on the verge of starting the football campaign. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Hello, Don. How are you?
Good, John. How you doing?
When did we get back?
Got back on Monday of this past week from Puerto Rico, and it was a very, very good trip.
All right. To those that may not understand, because I think a lot of people think, well, you go down there and you play like JMV and a bunch of dudes from Tuesday night at Center Grove, and you feel good about yourself. But this was far more than what that would describe with this trip, was it not, for this program?
There's no question. They played 3 games. That we're talking about the IU basketball team. They played 3 games down there. It was fun to be a part of that, and just in the sense of getting to go, get to build relationships with the coaching staff and the players, which, you know, everybody's brand new except for 2 walk-on kids and a couple of managers. That's basically you've got everybody else new in the program, athletically wise, with the basketball team players, and you do have 2 walk-ons that came back from last year, Ian Stevens and Rayford, the other kid that came back. But you're trying to build relationships with these guys, and so you get to know them a little bit, and you talk to them, and you just enjoy the experience. And then, of course, you did a little work after ball games, but not a lot.
Sure.
So at any rate, John, it was a very, very good trip from my standpoint, but more importantly, from an Indiana fan standpoint, because what I saw in those 3 ball games that they played against 2 Serbian games, against the Mega Superbet team, which is a very good basketball team, I would say they would give a lot of Big Ten teams trouble. And Indiana was able to win both those ball games. But more importantly, watching Coach DeVries coach these kids, watching how their coaching staff went about things, it was very impressive, John. And you know me, I'm not going to bullcrap anybody. I'm going to tell you what I see, and what I saw was most impressive.
You are not easily swayed, my brother. I can tell you that.
No, I'm not.
From experience right there. It is interesting, too, because the dynamic in those 2 Serbian games is IU gets down and, I mean, really digs themselves a significant hole. And both games were able to dig out of it and come from behind and win. So I think with the games itself, and any coach would want more games like this, especially when there is so much of an unknown on a new roster. but you get put into situations that you are going to see like this as well. That has to be, to me, something that the coaches like, not just coming back and winning, but you're getting those situations to where you really have to fight and grind together to get that result.
And that was what was most impressive about this basketball team. I mean, think about this, John. These guys have only been together for a couple of months. They've only practiced together for a couple of months. For those guys to get the opportunity to go down there and play 3 games against somebody and then look and as cohesive, and I say that in the sense of not necessarily how they played, but how important it was from a team perspective to move the basketball, to have confidence in one another, and for guys to step up at crunch time when the game was on the line and they had to make comebacks and those kinds of things, all the things that you would like from a coaching standpoint to have on, to look at on film and so on and so forth to get ready for the season. All of those things took place in these 3 ball games that they played. They played a team from Puerto Rico the first time out, a team that wasn't very good, and destroyed them. Then they come back in the next ball game. They get down against a really good Serbian team that was very tall, long, very athletic, great quickness, toughness, those kinds of things. And you've got 10 new players on your basketball team, and you got 11 actually at this point. A couple of guys are hurt, so you couldn't use those guys. And basically 10 guys played, and they all performed. Every single one of those guys that played in these ball games, including the walk-on Ian Stevens, he actually had some very productive minutes for this ball club. So what I saw was a fight, something that honestly I didn't see at all last year from an Indiana basketball team. I didn't see the fight. I didn't see the heart that these guys had. And this team showed me all of that. And from a coaching standpoint, I think Darren DeVries probably got as much out of this as he possibly could have imagined, and watched his basketball team fight back from deficits on 2 different occasions. The second one, the last game that they played, they were down 20 at halftime, 50-30. It looked like they were going to get blown out, and they just kept chipping away in the final 2 quarters of this ball game against a very physical basketball team, and found a way to win it in the final minute. And it was really impressive.
That's voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, back for another season right here. We'll get into the IU football program on the verge of beginning things here momentarily. But I did want to ask about regarding this roster and what you witnessed a couple of players here. And one is the Sam Houston State transfer, Lamar Wilkerson. It seemed like those that were covering those games down there were pretty impressed with him. Let's start with his overall game for those out there, Don, that may not know too much about it.
Well, his first game against the Puerto Rican team that wasn't very good. And the reason it wasn't is because what is his strength? He is a shooter, and he can flat shoot the basketball. But he did not perform great in that first ball game. It just wasn't his day, so to speak. And likewise for Tucker DeVries, who's the other guy that's classified as an outstanding outside shooter, 3-point guy. Neither one of those guys had big ball games in that first matchup. So what impressed me, though, was that these guys really, really came back and did other things on the floor that factored into why they won those ball games. And Wilkerson, there's no question, this guy can flat light it up. When he gets going, he is something to watch. I mean, he just knocks down shot after shot once he gets his feet underneath him. And when he wasn't shooting his best basketball, he was still very much a great teammate because he was talking on the floor. He was passing the basketball, being unselfish. His shots weren't going down, so he helped in other ways, as did Tucker DeVries. Tucker DeVries, to me, is the most vocal guy in this ball club. And being the coach's son, I know he probably gets from his dad that you better be doing that. You know more about what we do and how we do it than anybody else. And he takes that to heart. And I thought even though he didn't have a great first ball game, and he struggled a little bit in the other 2 ball games because he has some kind of a heel issue. I saw him putting a pad on the back of his heel after the 3rd ball game, and he was limping pretty hard after the 2nd ball game down there. because he's got some kind of a foot issue. I don't think it's a real serious thing because he played, with just 2 days rest after the second ball game. So I don't think it's a serious thing, but he was limping around pretty good, and he actually was in the ball game at the end of that contest, the third game that they played, and he got himself to the free throw line 2 or 3 different times there in the last 5 minutes of the ball game that were critical and knocked down some free tosses that were really needed at that time. So, John, I'm elated with the way this team looked and how hard they fought and the way they played together. We're a ball club that's only been basically together for 2 months with virtually everybody on the team never having played with each other.
It's Don Fischer joins us. I want to get your thoughts quickly on a couple of other players, too. You mentioned Tucker DeVries as being one. A couple of transfers. The big man transfer, Reed Bailey from Davidson. Connor Enright from DePaul has been known as a shooter at guard. And then, obviously the kid from Santa Claus, Indiana, Trent Sisley, and what you witnessed from their games in those 3 games.
Well, Connor is a battler. I don't know that he is the greatest shooter in the world, but he is not afraid to take the shot, and he can make them. But he is more than that. When he's on the floor, you're going to get a guy that will intrigue Indiana fans, and they'll learn to love this guy because he fights his butt off. He works so hard out there to defend people, to play within the teamwork of the framework of the teamwork that they try to get done. And he's smart because he played for DeVries at Drake and then had a year away from him at DePaul and came back to Indiana now as his final year of college basketball. He's a smart kid. He's a very engaging young man. On top of that, he is fun to watch because he plays so hard, and he gives you everything he's got when he's out on the floor. And I think he can handle the point guard position if needed on a consistent basis. Who were the other guys you wanted to know about?
Reed Bailey from Davidson and Sisley from Santa Claus and Heritage Hills.
Well, Sisley, let's take him first because he's a true freshman. And the stage is not too big for this kid already. And that really impresses me, too, because I remember him as a high school player in his junior year. He was a real slender kid at that time. Still was about 6'6" or 6'5", 6'6" at the time. You think he's up at 6'7" now. But he is filled out, and he looks the part even as a freshman, as a kid that has the physical size and the ability as an athlete to get the job done. And he was not afraid to take 3-point shots, and he knocked them down. He was the leading scorer in the first game against Puerto Rico. I think he scored 21 points in that one and had several rebounds on top of that. He was very impressive in that game and got plenty of playing time and did a really nice job in the other 2 games against the Serbians. So I think people are going to love him too because he's a freshman. He's going to be around a while. I think he loves Indiana University, and I know he's excited about being there. But he's not. The game is not too big for head here as a freshman. At least in these first games that they played, and he seemed like he belonged just like the rest of these guys had. And then in regard to the kid from Davidson, Reed Bailey, he is not a rim. He's not going to be a block shot guy inside. He's not a Miles Turner or somebody like that. He is a guy that runs the floor. He can handle the basketball as a 6'10" player, handles it very well. In fact, he brought the ball up on many occasions in those 3 ball games on fast breaks down the floor and dished them off, or played it all the way to the hoop himself. He can use both hands. He's a tough kid. He's a physical player, and he's smart. And those are the kinds of things that you want to see from a big man. And he's not the biggest guy in the team by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he is the biggest from a height standpoint, but he is really an excellent basketball player. He's been well taught before he got here to IU at Davidson. He's smart. He knows the game. I think he's going to help a lot. And the guy you hadn't mentioned earlier to talk about was Sam Alexis.
Yeah.
And Sam Alexis, to me, probably made the biggest impression because I hadn't seen him do the things that he did in a ball game in practice that much. When you're watching these guys individually in practice sessions and things like that, there's not a lot you can take from that other than the fact that they're a really good athlete. Well, he's not just a good athlete. He can use both hands around the basket. He is excellent as a rebounder. He seems to have a knack to find the ball and go after it. I really liked him a lot. I was probably most impressed as a guy that surprised me the most, because I did not expect as much out of him maybe as I did some other people on this roster. And yet I saw a great deal of how hard he played, especially at the defensive end of the floor. So that was another thing that really impressed me about this ball club.
Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I was figuring things out in my head here. We've talked a great deal at our table together regarding this IU football program in year 2 of Curt Cignetti. August the 30th, Old Dominion at Indiana, 2:30 in the afternoon down in Bloomington. In watching them practice, I think you have discussed with me before, what has stood out to you majorly is just how much better the offensive line has been. Is that where we begin with this?
Yep. Absolutely. Last year they probably had 6 guys that could play and be factors. And I would argue that this year they've got at least 8. And I don't know if there are more than that at this point, but I've watched 8 different players out there that have impressed me on the offensive line. And maybe the most impressive in the sense of newness to the program is Pat Coogan. This kid's a Notre Dame transfer. He was a starter last year for the Fighting Irish, obviously in the national championship game. He is a talented guy at the center position, probably the most important offensive line position out there other than maybe left tackle to protect the quarterback. But honestly, this guy's smart. He has tremendous leadership skills. They've mic'd him up for a practice or 2, that kind of thing, which is interesting if anybody's gone to their website and kind of watched that. But more than that, he's a leader. And he is a terrific player, but he's a tremendous leader on top of that. And I know that Cignetti already has talked about the fact that he's one of the best leaders on this football team. So that's a really good thing. And the rest of the offensive line are deeper than they have been, JMV, and there's no doubt in my mind that's been one of the all-time problems for Indiana University football over the years. They've just never had enough of the offensive line guys that were as talented as these guys seem to be. And I give a lot of that gratification from that standpoint to Bob Bostad, their offensive line coach. He's a terrific line coach, number one. He's a great teacher of the game. He's an old school guy, and Sig loves that about him because he goes after these guys if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And there's no question they've made great inroads since Bostad's been there in developing these offensive linemen. And I think they've got at least 8, maybe 9 guys that you could count on to help this football team and to be as good in the offensive line as you need to be if you're going to play at a high caliber.
So Don Fischer with us. Again, August the 30th, things officially get underway for IU against Old Dominion. Don's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, you get all these offensive line bodies and feel rejuvenated about it, and it's probably a good thing because you bring in a talented quarterback in Fernando Mendoza that was absolutely running for his life at Cal a year ago, it seems. So that makes sense. And Don, I'll tell you what makes sense too. In going back in history, recent history of Curt Cignetti, going with Curtis Rourke a year ago and how well that worked out, and even going back to his final 2 years that were successful at James Madison, he also went out and got veteran established quarterbacks to help lead the way. And I've said this all along to people that ask if it's, they say if it's not broken, don't fix it. I say, ride it until it bucks you or don't ride at all. And that's seemingly what he is doing. I think with the quarterback position, going with what is already established and what and try to cobble things to make it even better. And I think that's at least how I view Mendoza here at the start of the season.
Well, the one thing about Fernando is that he is not shy. He's a very engaging young man. I think that his issues at California were primarily because he couldn't be protected very well, and he was running for his life so much of the time out there. And I think the question mark on Fernando coming into this season was, can he get past that and not worry about and know that he's got an offensive line in front of him that will give him protection and give him time to throw the football. And I think he's found that out a little bit. I watched him in spring practices. I thought he had a little bit of the nervousness, that the happy feet type of thing that you would look at and see him try to get rid of the ball maybe quicker than he needed to, rather than being able to read the defense and make the right call, make the right decision on where he threw the football, those kinds of things. But I have seen much improvement in that area. I know Signetti mentioned it at the end of spring, that his last 3 to 5 practices were much better than they were in the early part of the spring. And I think we've seen that to continue, or that progression to continue for Fernando here in the last 2 weeks of practice. So I think this is a football team that will have a quarterback that can get the job done. I know he's got a great arm. He runs like a deer. He's 6'5", 220 pounds, and he is fast. When he gets going, he is really fast. I don't want to say he's a scat back type of quarterback. He's not. But if he has to go out and run, he can flat fly. And that's something that we hadn't had in Curtis Rourke. Rourke was playing with a damaged ACL, and nobody knew about how damaged it was. It was torn. It wasn't completely torn, or he wouldn't have been playing, but obviously he played with it. But the thing about Curtis was his strength, in my opinion, aside from the fact he was tremendously accurate with his passing arm, the fact that he was able to read defenses so well was that's why he was such a great quarterback at Indiana. He's the best I've ever seen at making the right decision in a split second, seeing what the defense was doing and then making the right decision to throw the ball in the right spot. He was phenomenal at that. I don't know, until you get in real fire, where you've got people coming after you and those kinds of things. We haven't seen Fernando in that situation yet, so we can't read that as effectively as you might like to. But here in the preseason, I've been really happy with what I've seen from Fernando Mendoza, and I think he's going to be a tremendous addition.
Can't wait. Can't wait to watch it, because it is on the verge of happening. So our table tonight, or are you taking the night off?
Tonight we will not be there, but probably we will be a couple more times here before football starts.
All right, because I know you got football to watch on a Friday night, probably next Friday, don't you?
Yeah, because my son is still coaching down at Edgewood, his third year there, and this will be the year that they feel like they can turn things around a little bit. So we'll be going as many of his home games as we possibly can, and next week will be the first one.
Oh, the Stangs, the Stallions, the former home of Lance Ringler. By the way, there is zero way that field, which is red, bright red, is not like the gates of hell when it's 90-plus degrees outside down there. There's no way.
Well, every football field that's not natural grass in its turf, every one of those fields in this heat is brutal. There's just no question. I don't care if it's red, black, white, green, whatever.
That just looks like the field's on fire, though. You just go, good Lord. My shoes are going to melt.
You're right. Yeah, it definitely would be psychologically bad for you.
Hey, do you wonder, do they wish they would have just gone with regular green and said to hell with it now, or they still cool with going with the red?
I've never heard anybody say anything about it, so I'm not going to go there and be the first to tell you that it should be green.
Maybe it should just have gone green and not worried with the red part of it right there. So, no.
Incidentally, IU Memorial Stadium has a new turf too, and it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
How old was the old one, I guess, in this case? Do you know?
You know what? I don't know. Probably at least 7 to 10 years, someplace in that neighborhood.
Wow.
These things don't last all that long. I can tell you that.
Hey, Don, for years, you and I have talked about fans going to games, getting there on time, and not leaving. Do you think that we'll have that discussion at all this season? Because it makes you wonder. We've had that discussion, and it's so familiar that I kind of wonder if that goes away now.
Well, it certainly did in the last half of last season.
Yeah.
Because Indiana, following that, the Maryland game was the last one where the stands weren't completely full, and they've been full ever since then. And I pray that that's the way they will be all season long coming up too. Indiana's schedule this year, as you know, is much tougher than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
And I still think this football team has the confidence, the belief, and the coach to get them a ton of wins this season. And we'll see how many it is. I'm not going to predict, but I will say this team, I think, if they do what we think they're capable of doing, they're going to be competing again for a Big Ten title.
Oh, it should be fun. It's more exciting to start a season than you felt in a long time, certainly in year two of Curt Cignetti down in Bloomington. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, somewhat fresh back from Puerto Rico with a breakdown of IU's basketball team down there and a preview a little bit. We'll do a little bit more defense coming up next Friday. But just inform me when you guys are back at our table so I can join and watch you guys eat while I drink. I'm like Dean Martin.
No, you're not quite. You're not quite in Dean's category, if you know what I mean.
I'm still working on that. Still working on that. All right, buddy. Tell Susie I said hello. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks for having me, JMV.
You got it, buddy. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. A 12-game win streak on the line for the Brewers. Can they overcome, not as hot, but a back-to-back win, Cincinnati Red squad? The first of a weekend set with the Brewers and the Reds in Cincinnati later on tonight. We got that for you and more from the text stream. 317-239-1070. You guys have been active in there on this Friday. We'll get to that. And the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day, Nathaniel, is that now or coming up?
Next.
Not right here, though.
Not right now. The break after.
The next, so give me about 10 minutes, and we'll do the Friday version of the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Packers Colts coming up tomorrow, 10 a.m., your Colts pregame huddle time. Me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, Joe Wrights, Rick Venturi, 10 until noon. Matt and company and countdown to kick off. That is coming up noon until 1, and then everything is officially underway. And again, hey, plan accordingly and leave early because there will be significant construction FUBAR in and around downtown and especially around Lucas Oil Stadium. Just take my word for it. Leave early. Join us in time for Touchdown Town. Hell, I don't know. We'll go and have a cocktail. I've got to wait around for the JMV takeover. We can roll someplace and have a cocktail if you want. But leave early. And you'll thank me later for that. 1 o'clock is that kick coming up tomorrow. I should mention this. Tonight there are 2 preseason games, both on the NFL Network, 7 and 10 respectively, Titans and Falcons, and the Chiefs and the Seahawks later on this evening, and a handful of games besides the Packers and the Colts coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I absolutely love the early afternoon window for these preseason games. Dolphins and Lions, of course, Miami is week number 1 of the opposition. That is at 1 o'clock. You've got the Patriots and the Vikings, Browns and the Eagles, and the Panthers and the Texans. The other preseason 1 o'clock starts tomorrow. 4:05 for the Niners and the Raiders, and then everything else is later on in the evening. Ravens, Cowboys, Chargers, Rams, Jets, Giants, Buccaneers, Steelers, Cardinals, Broncos close it out tomorrow night at 9:30. Sunday's games, Jaguars and Saints. I saw where Travis Hunter is probably not going to play with, what they say, an upper body injury or something like that. What the hell is
that's
that?
it, just upper body. No idea.
Upper body. I'm injured in my upper body, too. My lower body's injured. I've just got a full body injury right now. Jaguars and Saints, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Sunday night on Fox. And that's going to jack with 59 overtime probably. Bills and Bears at 8 o'clock coming up on Sunday night. And then on Monday, the Bengals and the Commanders, a Monday night, August the 18th affair in the preseason. But obviously tomorrow, 10 a.m. and Touchdown Town, you can catch us coming up tomorrow. That is the Colts pre-game huddle. I'll remind you of that. We have Colts Happy Hour coming up at the top of the hour as well. And as I mentioned, too, a 12-game win streak on the line for the Brewers. They're in Cincinnati for the first of a weekend set against the Reds. The Reds winners of 2 straight. That's coming up later on tonight in Cincinnati. The Cubs lose to the Pirates in an opener of a weekend set at Wrigley Field in Chicago. That final 3-2. All right, we've got it for you. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Are you ready to find out who the winner might be? That's what's on the line. The Friday edition of the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day is now. Horse, Hope You Dance. Paid $16.20 on a $2 bet. The $2 exacta was $49.20. The 50-cent trifecta, $40.15. That is a tremendous underdog winning today. Shout out to Kim, who gets 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. That is your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. We fire that back up again next Tuesday here with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Nathaniel Finch has been in the past 2 days, and you can tell he is state of the art. Well done, brothers. Great job per usual yesterday on the road, back in studio. Now, what are you doing later on tonight? You got something in mind? What's happening?
Oh, we got, it's high school football.
Yes.
Everyone having their scrimmages. So going to go check out a scrimmage, and then
Are you calling it or just watching it?
a little bit of both.
Okay, so which one is it?
We're at Chatard, and we're just kind of getting ready for the upcoming season.
Who do they scrimmage?
That's a good question.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't
Chatard
know.
versus somebody?
Versus somebody.
I like it. And then tomorrow night, you're a part of Indiana Sports Talk?
No, I'm with you all day on Colts.
Oh,
and
hell,
then I
okay.
get to take off as soon as Colts post-game show ends.
10 a. Oh, you got to stay for the post-game show, too?
Yeah, it's a 10-hour day.
Well, that is good, though, because at least it's going to be off. So I'll be started upstairs. Yeah.
I'll come up and say hi to you.
Yeah, you'll
before I
still be
leave.
on as I'm
yeah.
doing the JMV Takeover coming up tomorrow night, which should be fun. Yeah, so that reminder, the Colts pregame huddle is coming up tomorrow morning, and that is at 10 a.m. Casey Vallier and more of Rick Venturi this year. I'll get into that in a moment. Joe Wrights and Bill Brooks and myself, but I mentioned more of Rick Venturi. Rick is going to lend, again, even more than usual this season on the Colts pregame huddle, which I absolutely love. 3 segments in all with Rick, and believe me, tomorrow is one of those moments in the preseason that you rarely, if ever, get, because tomorrow should be very important as it plays a significant and maybe the most significant role in exactly who ends up starting in week number 1 against the Dolphins for the Colts. Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. I've said Anthony Richardson all along. We shall see. So Derek says this: my son is with HSE and they are scrimmaging Chatard tonight. So Derek's going to be out there with that. D. White. Let's see D. White out there. That's good. Well done. Fulton wants to know here at 317-239-1070. JMV, what pants, black or blue, should I wear tomorrow for the game? Fulton, I have no idea what pants you should wear. Just wear pants. Any pants.
Please.
Just please wear pants. That's awesome. JMV, I did make it home, and I did manage to pick up the 1.5 liter of Gallo Chardonnay for the wife. That is a well done. Getting some wine right there, my brother. JMV, is Fish talking about a 6th grade Greene County team or IU basketball? They play hard, they talk, they showed resilience, coming back from down 20 in the first half against a Serbian team twice. A Serbian team called Superbet. Don explained it exactly as he saw it. Pretty funny. JMV, it was the absolute worst timing to do work by the state. Joint practice with the Packers yesterday and the Liv. Hey, how's the Liv going? You got a leaderboard for the Liv? I haven't even brought it up today.
Not sure.
I don't either. I don't care. You got the Liv. Oh, yeah, you got the Fever later on tonight, too, don't you? Washington Mystics downtown. 7:15 with Eddie Garrison with the pregame coverage. You got a tip time coming up after that. JMV giving out love for the AM signal. Shout out to you. You got that right. I will always give love to the AM signal. Again, I don't care how you listen, but somebody is listening to something, and that means or measures taken is important to them. So it's always been important to me. JMV, I love the fact that you and Jake project energy and optimism in your voice when discussing IU athletics. The morning guys, especially the alum, would lead you to believe that they were in the midst of passing a kidney stone when the subject comes up. What? Well done. Hey, Nathaniel,
Good time,
My
man.
brother, you are great. Thank you very much. Nathaniel Finch. Tomorrow morning, you'll be with me again on the Colts pregame huddle. Colts happy hour is coming up next. Remember, Whamfest tickets, if you find me tonight, I'll tell you where I am on the social media platform X. The fellas at Colts happy hour with me next.